Welcome into Who's Got Next. This is your Michigan recruiting podcast. Today we are talking football with Zach Libby, our recruiting editor at Maize and Blue Review. I am Brandon Justice, and we're talking recruiting. And it's about that time of the year where recruiting is heating up, and we're getting to the point where decisions are materializing for recruits, and Michigan is kind of ironing out the pathway to who they'd like to close on, maybe who they're settling on, and kind of understanding they're not going to get, or maybe someone they're just deciding to no longer prioritize. But we are in that middle of the season. Michigan just beat Indiana, approaching this game against Penn State on Saturday, top 10 matchup. But week 6 and going into week 7 it's kind of the time of the year where in recruiting things start to look a bit more clear, right? And they begin to. We're certainly not to the point where they're materialized to the fullest extent, but they're certainly beginning to solidify a bit. So, Libby, how are you doing? And are you ready to talk about some Michigan recruiting?
Yeah, man. We're doing this podcast like hours after we've pretty much got a pretty good running list of expected visitors, and like you said, this is going to be the important visitor game this weekend. Top 10 ranked matchup, national TV. There's a lot of implications, and to have this many amount of recruits that also includes the verbal commits, it's a big deal. So expect coverage all week and in the week after.
So we're going to work down a list here. I mean, Michigan's had confirmed up to around nearly 30 visitors, right, Zach? So Michigan's going to have far more visitors on campus than who we're going to talk about today. However, we wanted to kind of take a group of 5, and we'll perceive them as the top 5 recruits visiting on Saturday and break them down. But understand there's more. There's up to 30. And how do you keep up on that? Well, you join us here at michigan.rivals.com and you head over to the Den, which is our message board where we are always discussing Michigan at large, whether it's football, basketball, recruiting on each side of those things, and baseball, even sometimes some betting all the time. Every week we're talking betting too. So all kinds of things to discuss on the Den, namely the rest of the visitors for this weekend. We're going to talk about 5. We're going to break down the 5 most important who are visiting this weekend. But if you want to learn about the rest of them, head over to michigan.rivals.com and sign up today. Libby has all sorts of things on the site right now. I mean, the content is it's swimming, and you could be swimming in it if you go join us today. So let's talk ball. All right, we're going to start with Arian Carter. He's an inside linebacker out of Tennessee. He's a Memphis commit, 4-star. Rivals has him as a 5.8 rating, so he's really on the brink of that 6.0. This seems like a kid at 6'1", 205. Looks like a kid who moves well. Michigan has struggled this season with pass coverage in the interior, especially with the inside linebackers. Junior Colson has struggled there, namely, despite playing extremely well against the run. It's a clear thing Michigan needs. It's a void right now as pass defense and its linebacking core. And that, of course, could be fixed by coaching, but I'm sure in recruiting, they're looking to make sure that whoever is going to attempt, quote unquote, to fill that void, that they're going to be somebody who can cover the pass. So Arian Carter, tell us about him. He's visiting this weekend. Is there a chance for a flip there from Memphis? And what sort of gaps could he fill for Michigan if they're able to land him?
Yeah, so he's the prime example of a senior recruit who finally has earned his exposure that everyone yearns for. Originally, as a Memphis commit, 2-star commit, flying under the radar, probably was happy to just stay in his home state with a very good group of 5 program. But it really changed in August, with all these Power 5 offers coming in. Like in less than a month, he was getting Alabama, LSU, Florida, Tennessee, USC, Ohio State, obviously Michigan, and a tons more. I know you've experienced this last year with Andrew Paul, where a very good that probably should have deserved it earlier is now getting his dream really to get that national interest. So we'll see more of these guys later down the road, but this is the first one. He's taken his official visit to Michigan. He's one of 4 recruits on visit who are going to do so. 2 of them are already verbally committed. Michigan's the first one. Up next is Tennessee on the 29th, Ohio State on the 12th, LSU on the 19th, and then Alabama for the Iron Bowl. We have actually talked to him right after he got his offer last month. He would say, Carter would say that his call with George Hilo and Jim Harbaugh was one of the best moments of his career. Hilo and Harbaugh were adamant that they wanted to get him on campus as soon as possible. They're impressed with what they've seen with his senior film. And, they succeeded with getting him up for an official visit and being the first ones up. This is a high academic kid, 3.6, 3.8 range. He knows all about the academics at Michigan, wants to get the chance to check out, meet with advisors, see the buildings, learn to see if he can find a future in a career field at Michigan. Some of the connections that he has at Michigan, he knows of Junior Colson, obviously, because Colson is also from the Nashville area, and so is Carter. They play the same position. He also played with Miles Pollard on the 7-on-7 circuit. So I wouldn't say they're good friends, but at least that connection will help when he's on visit. Like you said, they need help with linebacker. They need depth at linebacker. There's only one commit in 2023. That's a linebacker with Samaj Bridgman. With the decommitment of Raylan Wilson last summer, they've been still going after to find that one more addition. And, Carter fits the bill. Biggest threat, obviously, is, it's not obvious, but if you don't follow his recruitment, but biggest threat right now is Alabama. He's been to 2 game day visits already. Nick Saban has personally handed him the offer, and since they're going to get the final official visits, they'll be the most recent in his mind. So I'm not, getting that first step is the official visit, and then after that is just, trying to convince him that going up north and staying out of the South is the right move for his future.
So with that in mind, we'll switch gears. We'll stay on defense here, and a guy who we've heard about for quite some time, nearly a year, because I remember when this kid was offered, I was still in your role. So that really tells me that this guy's been around for a minute. Jair Hill, cornerback out of Kankakee, and he has the forecasts to Illinois right now. Those are from the summer though, so maybe talk about if those hold up, but all the same, Jair Hill is visiting Michigan this weekend, one of the many ones. A corner who is 6'2", 180, kind of has that archetype Michigan likes to recruit, the big body, lanky style that they think they can develop. 5.8 by Rivals, so really on the same, technically speaking, according to Rivals, on the same rating scale as Carter, 2 different positions, but 2 guys who are clearly decorated in that they're trending upwards, because I think Hill's really only ascended since his recruitment took off last year. So talk a little bit about Hill, what you expect from Michigan in this race, where Illinois stands. Obviously, Illinois is going to have momentum with anyone they previously had momentum with, unless they're getting courted by other bigger schools. And in this case, yes, Michigan is a better program than Illinois, unequivocally. However, Jair Hill is from Kankakee. He's an Illinois in-state guy. Illinois is ranked for the first time since before the war, and it's incredible that we're seeing what we're seeing from Illinois. Is it going to translate to the recruiting trail, and could it with Hill, and where does Michigan stand?
Yeah, so this is going to be his second visit back since his OV in June. He's been to the barbecue at the Big House in July as well. I've heard before that Hill wanted to be committed by now, but since he's not, it's sort of a toss-up, really. Like in June, I would say Michigan was the leader after his official visit. By August, after talking with some people, it sounded like Illinois was the leader. There's reasons for each school to feel like they're in the lead. With Illinois, obviously, you have the proximity. He's very close with his family, the coaches as well. With Brett Bielema and his staff, they've gotten a really good, close relationship with everyone in that family. And then early playing time. I know Illinois is ranked right now, but let's face it, the differences in star power compared to Michigan and Illinois is just it can't be compared. It's just the opportunity to just see the field early is just something that every recruit desires, and I think Illinois provides that to him in a school that's relatively close to his home. But with Michigan, you have the winning Big Ten championship, 6-0 start to the season. Could end up being 11-0 by Thanksgiving. Is just something that has to be looked upon. The the proper NFL development with coaches who have been at that level, who've played at that level, is intriguing, as well as academics. We talked about Carter being a high academic kid. This is a kid who also wants to care about his academics. So that's important to know. It's also, once he's there, if he's still feeling like, he still is undecided, there's an advantage that Michigan can have, which is reminding him that Michigan has no cornerbacks committed in the 23 class, and reminding him that he is still a priority target. And let's factor in the Chris Peel, who might be committing to Georgia, and I have already put in a future cast for Peel to go to Georgia. So in that case, Hill is the guy. And if you want early playing time, maybe with that, maybe Michigan can give him that. I mean, this is a very, very talented coverage cornerback. Like, I've seen him live twice. Lanky, twitchy, lateral quickness. Like this, he has all the tools successful to be a lockdown cornerback in the Big Ten. And if he has Illinois and Michigan, he wants to stay in his area. So Big Ten is obviously where he wants to go. But yeah, no, it's in terms, I know not a lot of 23s are on the list, but in terms of who they are, it's important to have them there. Definitely.
And as far as, I guess we're used to hearing Michigan's losing guys to Georgia, right? Like, it just kind of seems like an old tale that we've heard so many times. And I think a lot of people out there can say that they've heard it too at their school. Georgia just seems to be kind of swiping through and doing whatever they want in the recruiting trail. The only time that they're on the recruiting trail, the only thing they've really struggled with is fending off Bama, right? And they might have to start doing that with Tennessee if they keep their momentum. I'm trying to look at your notes here and find out what you said about Kendrick Bell. And that's who we're going to move to next. All right, yeah. So Kendrick Bell, I mean, I'm super intrigued by this one here just because there's a lot of moving parts and so many things it seems like this kid can do. He's listed as an athlete. He's 6'3", 180 out of Park Hill, Kansas City. He's the younger brother of Ronnie Bell, right? Like nobody, everyone knows that. So it sure seems like Michigan is kind of like on a silver platter being served another potential bloodline in the Bell family, right? Another investment in the upside of a Bell player. To those who don't know, if you're new to Michigan football, or let's say you're new to watching and learning about Michigan football at a deep level, Ronnie Bell, who is Michigan's star wide receiver this year and was before his injury a year ago, he was a basketball recruit, and I believe it was to Missouri State, if I'm not wrong on that. Missouri State, something along those lines, right? He ends up at Michigan real late in the process, real late in the cycle, not ranked. Nobody really knew who he was. And you watch the tape and you kind of understood why they were interested in him. But like, this kid had essentially been under a rock, so it seems, right? Well, Ronnie Bell comes to Michigan as like, I think the lowest or one of the lowest ranked recruits in that class, a class that included Aiden Hutchinson, Hassan Haskins, and we know what they did, right? So Ronnie Bell, similar to Kendrick Bell's a 3-star, 5.6 Rivals rating. How do you know that a recruit is low key and under the radar? He doesn't even have a picture on his profile. That's how you know, right? So tell us about Kendrick Bell. I know that there's the Ronnie connection. How much of it is relevant? And I guess, what are their chances? Is he worth a scholarship in your opinion? And just your whole thoughts on Bell ahead of this visit here on Saturday.
Yeah, no, I mean, not only does he not have a picture, like, he literally got his bump as a 3-star today. So he was unranked from the time that he got offered to today. After talking with someone close today, actually, too, they were saying that Ronnie Bell was severely under-recruited, and they feel the same for Kendrick Bell. There's just something in that water that the family drinks that, lets them escalate that lets them reach their ceiling once they go to college. Michigan is the only Power 5 offer for Kendrick. They offered in September. UMass and Northern Iowa are the only two that have also offered. He was listed as a dual threat quarterback. He does so for Park Hill. which was the same school that developed Ronnie. But now he's being listed as an athlete because Michigan wants him. There's no true position for him right now. He can be wide receiver. He can play defensive back. After talking with Kendrick, he's fine with any position. But, I mean, what a feel-good story would be for Kendrick to come in and, rewrite the other chapter that Ronnie has already done. Future cast, as soon as Kendrick and I were on the phone together after his offer, the family confirmed that they were going to take the OV to Penn State, and I put in the future cast right after. I would not be surprised if he commits right after the visit too. This one is sort of like, it just lines up perfectly for Michigan to take in a project athlete who has put up incredible numbers as a quarterback, but can translate that to positions that can utilize his athleticism. Like I said, wide receiver or DB doesn't matter right now, but I would imagine they would probably put him at DB, considering if the recruiting for defensive backs goes sour. This is, like I said, going to be an OV along with Carter, so I expect a lot of attention being drawn onto him. The family has been vocal on social media and through interviews about how much they love Michigan, how much they've loved the fan support that Ronnie has been given throughout his career. And I think just the opportunity to learn under the coaches who have brought, Ronnie to where he is now, I think that speaks a lot for Kendrick. And, taking a chance on the Power 5 team that offer you, which is committable, it's just something that I think you just can't pass up. I mean, look, let's face it, UMass and Northern Iowa aren't exactly up to par with Michigan.
So you confirm the offer is committable?
Yes.
That is substantial news.
Yes.
So I guess people who don't understand, I guess the way Michigan recruits sometimes, it happens everywhere. Things like this, where you just find a flyer, and he turns out to be not just a diamond in the rough, but really comes down strong for your team, right? And that's what happened with them with Ronnie Bell, but it happens in a lot of places. So I think let's not understate, just because he's Ronnie Bell's little brother, that he is going to 100% be the same carbon copy of his trajectory. Like, he's just going to show up and immediately shine and find time as a sophomore who's played football for a limited amount of time, like Ronnie, right? I guess, if and when Michigan lands Kendrick, what kind of trajectory do you see for him in Ann Arbor?
I think he's going to be the quintessential workhorse. I think there's something to believe. I think there's something for 3 stars and 2 stars and maybe even low 4 stars where they have that chip on their shoulder. And I think that chip gets even higher knowing that he has a brother who is going to go down as one of the most influential players in the Harbaugh era.
2-time captain too.
Exactly. Like, there's just the expectations the expectations can just be overwhelming. But this is a kid who has been in a close circle, who's able to mature him, has known of the expectations going towards it, to where you are just now a 3-star and you're going to the number 5 ranked team in the country. Like, there's a reason to prove that you're just not a carbon copy and you are your own person. He has strongly said that, he's going to be his own player, regardless of where that is. And, getting that support from a brother who's very close together, I think that just will do wonders. It also speaks on behalf on Michigan's ability to recruit the state of Missouri. Because, Hassan Haskins was a 2-star or low 3-star. Ronnie Bell was the same thing. Like, for a school that's highly recruited by the SEC schools and nearby programs, like, for Michigan to get these diamonds in the rough. I know we're saying that Bell's going to be the next all Big Ten conference player, but the work effort that he puts in from just film and from what I've been hearing, why write him off? But that also means he has to commit. But like I said, if he does, I could see it happening right after the visit.
All right. Perhaps the best player who's going to be on campus from a rankings perspective, but he's a future recruit, is 2024. So, if you're not familiar with the classes, is the junior and Jordan Anderson, a 4-star who's at that 5.9 brink of 5-star. He's the 65th best player in the country overall in the class of 2024. He's an athlete, so he does a couple of things. Break down Jordan Anderson to us, and folks, keep in mind he is a junior, and who we've talked about before has been a senior. So obviously timelines could be different here, right? These guys like Anderson, he's not on an unofficial visit, not an official visit, and on top of that, maybe not as inclined to commit at this point in time, given the fact that he's got a whole another year of school left. But the offer list looks like someone who's been playing and is about to graduate. I mean, Georgia's on there, and like a host of others. It starts with Georgia. I don't think I have to go down the list much. I will, just to make everyone at home happy about knowing. But yeah, I mean, he's got Georgia and Maryland, Michigan, Oregon, Tennessee, USC. The only one he doesn't really have right now would be like the Bama, right? That would be kind of like the cherry on top of that offer sheet. But as a junior, and it's only October, pretty impressive. So take us through Anderson and what you think about him as a recruit and Michigan's chances with him in the 2024 class.
Yeah, so he's from Greater Los Angeles and Long Beach. Second visit to Michigan since the summer, where he went to the barbecue at the Big House in late July. According to a person that I'm close with, that is close to Jordan and his family, the plan is to stay all weekend. They play Friday night, so the plan would be to take a red eye up to Michigan to stay for the game and then stay for Sunday as well. Jordan is very close with Samaj Morgan, who is a 2023 wide receiver commit, as well as Samaj Morgan's entire family. The plan is for them to stick together for the entire visit. And since that Samaj Morgan is going to take his official for the Penn State game, I would imagine that Anderson is getting prioritized by the coaches as well, especially Ron Bellamy. The friendship with Samaj began on the 7-on circuit because they've been playing together for so long. They've played together for, on many occasions during the offseason. If you want a friend like Samaj, who's regarded as one of the best recruiters in the 23 class, he's going to be key in getting Anderson here. I was told by the source that Anderson is considering Michigan highly, as well as USC, which is, the school close to home, as well as Oregon. So it's Michigan's right up there in terms of favorites and front runners. The source has also was enamored with the possibility of just having Samaj, Fred Moore, the other 2023 wide receiver commit, Anderson, Amarion Stewart, 2024 wide receiver, and the 24 two wideouts from Providence State, Charlotte, North Carolina, as the future core at that position. And the excitement is there. But yeah, for a kid who's this talented from an area not close to Michigan at all, I would imagine Samaj and his family going at it in terms of just convincing him that they need to stick together. The chemistry that they showed in the 7-on circuit it will translate to the college level, which has also been talked about. And, Bellamy has been getting a close relationship with Anderson as well. So, if any success happens out of this weekend, it'll just be confirmation from Anderson's perspective that Michigan is still a front runner.
All right. Oh, took you out. And Acuna is making his appearance. To those who don't know and aren't regular M&BR podcast viewers, my cat is named Acuna, and he is meowing like he always does towards the end of the show. He's got to get a word in, just like his dad. All right, so we're moving on to Isaac Wilson. Again, we are sticking in 2024. To those who don't know about Zach Wilson in the NFL, and I've said to those who don't know, like everyone on here is ignorant. It's just I'm trying to make sure everyone understands that the information shouldn't be assumed. I'm just trying to make sure you guys got what you need here. So Isaac Wilson is Zach Wilson's brother. Zach Wilson's quarterback for the Jets. He was quarterback at BYU. He was a highly drafted first rounder out of college, starting to experience a little bit of an upswing and ascension here in his career over the past 3 games. So that 3 wins in a row, I believe, and the last 2 are with him as the starter. He was out hurt to start the year, but has taken over for Joe Flacco and done a pretty good job and leading what seems to be one of the best Jets teams in a long time. So enough about Zach. It's talking about Isaac now. Isaac Wilson is the number 228 overall player in the 2024 class. The best player in Utah and the 14th best pro-style quarterback in the country. And now Acuna has joined the desk as he's made himself a door to my desk. So that's nice. All right. Isaac Wilson, 5.8 Rivals rating, almost a 6. When you have a cat just crawling all over you while you're trying to talk, it doesn't make it easy, guys. But tell us about him, Zach. You got to take this away from me. Talk about Isaac Wilson, where Michigan stands there, and what type of talent he is in comparison to his brother.
Yeah, I mean, when it comes to 2024 recruiting for quarterbacks, obviously the big name is Jaden Davis at the top. But Michigan is playing smart by having other quarterbacks in his class come visit. It's just so important to cast a wide net at that position, and from Michigan's perspective, to prevent another Dante Moore circumstance. Like you said, brother Zach Wilson, who went to BYU. BYU also saw his father graduate there, and Isaac's two other older brothers are currently on the team. Wilson, who has offers from OK State, Miami, BYU, Oregon, Arizona. Actually, this is his first year as a starter because at his high school, he backed up quarterbacks who are now at Ohio State and Ole Miss. But in his first year through 9 games, he has totaled nearly 2,500 yards passing and 24 touchdowns. Michigan has not offered yet, but apparently they are communicating rather regularly since September 1st. The first step, if Wilson does get offered, is to visit, show a face, show a relationship with Matt Weiss, get that first step in. I don't really know how willing he is to leave the area. Family connections are huge, especially for recruits in the state of Utah. That's why like the Utes and the Cougars do so well in their home state. But for Wilson to ascend as a national commodity, I would imagine Michigan pulls the trigger at some point. But I think like I said before, getting that personable time with Matt Weiss would be perfect in terms of just developing more of a relationship. There hasn't been any future casts on him or whatsoever, but I don't know, BYU just seems like an overwhelming favorite to me, just because he has the offer, his family has the offer, family has played there, currently plays there, and BYU does so well in the Salt Lake City area. So it's just something to look out for. But yeah, having another quarterback that's not named Jaden Davis in 24 class is just huge in terms of casting the net in terms of interested signal callers.
No doubt. All right. That is your roundup here on Tuesday for Who's Got Next, your Michigan recruiting podcast. Talked football today. Penn State comes to town on Saturday. Number 10, the Nittany Lions are a bit red hot coming into Ann Arbor and setting up for what should be and I think will be an excellent football game on Saturday. But on the sidelines, many recruits will be covering it and visiting Michigan, some for the first time, some for multiple times. Zach, any commits who are going to be on campus on Saturday that are going to, you think, maybe aid in garnering some of the commitments of those who are visiting Michigan as uncommitted, or in Carter's case, committed to Memphis? Who will be there on Michigan side that you think will help in that process?
Yeah, I mean, you have 24 linebacker commit Mason Curtis out of Nashville as well. So getting them close with Arian Carter would make a huge difference in terms of their relatively proximity. All 4 in-state commits, Amir Herring, Adam Samaha, Cole Cabana, and Samaj Morgan are just excellent recruiters. They'll play a big role. Deacon Tonielli, the tight end out of Chicagoland, is also going to be there, which will help with Jair Hill. Other commits are going to be out of state. Etta might be coming. Evan Link, the 3-star tackle out of Washington, D.C. So yeah, when we reported this back in July and August, Penn State was going to be the one of the bigger weekends, and it's probably going to end up being the biggest one because of what's happening with Michigan State. So I would imagine Michigan more commits that aren't coming to Penn State will be there for Michigan State. But yeah, for just a top 10 ranked matchup, outside of a win, having commits there to spread the word and be another voice in those ears is going to be beneficial to a great degree.
All right. Well, make sure you guys head over to michigan.rivals.com and sign up today. $9.99 a month, and you get some absolutely insane coverage at large of Michigan athletics. Everything from football and football stories, features, film analysis, film breakdowns. We have content on YouTube. We have content on the website. We have content on Twitter. We have content on Instagram. We even have TikToks. So we've got you covered all over there. And then if you come over and sign up today at michigan.rivals.com, you get a lot of intel on what's going on with the football program from a week-to-week perspective, who's in, who's out. Where's Michigan trending with recruits? Well, you found out a little bit about that today, but you can find out even more information and intel deeper and a little bit more concrete as the days go on here as we loom closer to Saturday. So that's it for today's Who's Got Next. But make sure you guys go over to michigan.rivals.com, sign up today, and stay tuned to find out everything you just heard about those 5 recruits on top of a bunch more as the season goes on. All right. We will talk to you guys next Tuesday as far as Who's Got Next goes, but make sure you guys tune into Dennis Vivian's live show every weekday at 1 p.m. and then after the game on Saturdays. So this weekend should take place around 3:30ish. On top of that, make sure you guys tune in to Hail to the Podcast on Thursday and Sharpening the Edge on Friday. That is our football show on Thursday and then our betting show on Friday. So we appreciate you guys tuning in. Again, michigan.rivals.com. You can follow us on Twitter with the names below in the bottom left window. You can follow the site on Twitter at Michigan Rivals, and you can follow us on Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook at Maize Blue Review. Appreciate you guys tuning in. Enjoy your weeks, and we will see you at the Big House on Saturday.